Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. This may or may not work. I've never done it before. I've watched a couple of videos and people make it look really easy. The reason they're making it look really easy is they are using plants with large parts, whereas I've got a plant with incredibly small plants. Now your basic my eyesight isn't really good enough for this. I'm actually looking at the screen on the camera, which has actually blown this up a bit, but technically we've got an anther cap here that I've got to try and remove and get the pollen out of. Now I don't know how easy these come off. Do they take some pulling? Do they take some yanking? Do they just flick off? I've got no idea, and it might fall on the floor, in which case I shall lose it. But I'm going to try and see if this just comes off easily. And to steady my hand, I'm resting on the tripod, which might wobble the camera a bit. But in theory, this should. I'm going to have to hold the flower still as well, aren't I? Well, this isn't going to easily flip off, for a start. Ah. Right. Now, providing that's still in focus and my hand is steady enough, you should be able to, that's the anther cap, and you should be able to see the yellow polliner inside, which luckily is sticky and it's stuck. Now I've got to try and separate those two, which I'm not going to do on camera, simply because I need to hold this over something where I can't drop it, and the camera will just be in the way. But I will try and do that now, and what I should come back with is those yellow bits stuck on the end of the stick without the cap, without the purple bit. We're very technical here, aren't we? That came off reasonably easily, but that polliner is going to have to get placed up under there, but on a different flower. In theory, the flower I've just taken this off of won't collapse. So I'll be back in a minute when I've hopefully separated these two pieces. This is not easy to do. This is the sort of thing you do before you have any wine, but I'll be back. Okay, I've twisted the plant round. This is the bloom I'm going to try and pollinate, which is the first one on the spike. That's the traditional one to do. Now I don't know how steady this is going to be. Oh, talk about delicate. But what you should be able to see on the end of the stick is the polliner. It's just two tiny little yellow bits that are sticky. And I've got to try and get them up in there and get them to stick. Oh, I'm going to have to hold the flower again. This is incredibly difficult to do. Well, they're up in there, but I think I need to sort of really press them in against the surface, not just loose. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to break the stick, because what I want is a blunt end. I don't want the pointy bit. I just want a blunt bit to just poke up in there and make sure those are pushed well against the surface without getting stuck to the stick. Well, I think that is it. And I say I think because, as I stated at the beginning, I don't know what I'm doing in as much as I haven't done it before. I understand the principle of what's going on, but so what I've got to do now is record the date. I don't need to record which bloom I did. It's my plant. It's the only Miltoniopsis I've got in bloom, and blow me, there's a new spike. So I've just spotted another spike coming out. Whoa! That's on the new growth as well, that's far from mature. So perhaps Zana was right, this is a vigorous one. But yeah, so that is the principle. that is what needed to be done, and we'll just have to keep our eye on it, because what should happen now is literally within a day or two this bloom that we're looking at now should collapse. It'll just go all loose and floppy, and then unlike the other bloom that was done, if it's successful, the let's see if I can move it round, this part, the stem down here, should start to swell, and it should remain rigid like that and swell. It shouldn't go all loose and floppy and shrivel. It should stay at least that thickness and then start to swell as it ages, if it's been successful. So there we go, that's for the record. So I've got the video which has got the date and time on it and everything like that. I won't bother putting a tag on the bloom itself, we know which one it is, and without getting the camera off, yeah, it's incredibly close, isn't it? And it's still in focus. Yay! It just shows it will focus close in, this flipping thing, providing you're not waggling it around. I just wanted to pull it away so I can show you the new spike I've just spotted. So we've got a new spike coming. That's waggling. So the camera on the end of the tripod is really top heavy if you're not actually holding the camera. Anyway, so we do have a new spike. We've still got this funny thing here, which is like a spike that got stuck, as they do sometimes, so it bent and distorted, but it looks like the bloom may open. So there we go, a potential pollination of Miltoniopsis thingy. I've forgotten what it's flipping called now. Vexillaria. Vexillaria or vexillaria? Vexillaria, I believe. Oh, Zaina's writing's not the best, but then you haven't seen mine, have you? I have to go ever so careful when I'm doing labels. Anyway, that is it. It is done, and we will await the results. If this bloom doesn't collapse within a couple of days, then the pollination hasn't worked. The only thing I can then do is try again. That will mean taking the pollen out of yet another bloom. We're going to run out of blooms in if it doesn't work next time round. If this does work, great. If it doesn't, we're going to run out of blooms next time, because there's only one more pair left on this spike anyway. But we do have another spike, so we may get another go later down the line. Right, all the kit's off. It's like a flipping oven in here with up to 29 degrees with no airflow. So I need to shut down and get this done. All I can say with this is wish me luck. This plant has a purpose, and it can't achieve that purpose without a seed pod. So let's hope it works this time.